just want to give an update for this week. I weigh in every Thursday morning, and I did not lose any weight this week. I am still at 403, and I know why. I kind of screwed everything up over the weekend and took more than the one day to not count calories. I ended up not really counting over the last, not over the last, but I ended up not really counting for two and a half days, and now I'm paying for it with no loss of weight. This week, I have been back on the path of 1,000 to 1,200 calories per day. Yesterday, I actually went below that. Didn't intend to. It just kind of played out that way. But I try to stay around the 1,000 calorie mark per day. Let's talk for a few minutes about the initial reset for getting started on what I'm doing as far as the caloric deficit and the diet that I'm following. And it's not really a diet. I don't see it as a diet. I see it as completely resetting my body and how I eat in general. It's not a diet to follow for a short period of time. It's literally changing how you approach food. It's changing what you eat and eating to live instead of living to eat. So the initial reset, for 2 weeks, the first week sucked really, really bad. I was very hungry the first week, and I ate a lot of the stuff that I was allowing myself to eat. That diet consists of chicken, broccoli, and cauliflower. Some people would say to go ahead and just do nothing but chicken and broccoli. Personally, I had to get something else in there to fill that a little bit. Cauliflower is actually a healthy food. An entire head of cauliflower only has 130 calories. And I would literally just sit down and eat a big chunk of cauliflower with some type of seasoning on it. Now you got to be sure to watch the calories for what you put on this. Don't dip it in dressing and whatnot. Salad dressing is very high in calories. I would use different seasonings that had no calories. Not really too. I was not personally concerned about like the amount of salt or anything like that. Just calorie value, and most of the seasonings had 0 calories or maybe 10 per serving, something like that. But anyway, for that first week, I ate nothing but chicken, broccoli, and cauliflower. And I had massive cravings for everything bad that I had been eating before. But those cravings began to subside after the first week. I had decided that I was going to allow myself a quote-unquote cheat day. It started out once a month. And then it was like, well, I'll do it once every 2 weeks. And then it was like, at the end of this week, I got to eat something different. That was all within the first week that I had all this stuff going through my mind and decided I was going to do it at the end of that week. Well, I'll tell you, at the end of the week, we went out to a new pizzeria, and I ate a bunch of pizza and drank a soda, and I paid for it dearly. It made me so sick. My stomach hurt so bad. The bread just messed me up. I felt slow, sluggish, huge, just heavy. Whereas throughout the week of eating nothing but chicken, broccoli, and cauliflower, I hadn't felt that. Now, I like to sear my chicken. I use a couple tablespoons of olive oil. If you use olive oil in moderation with a non-stick frying pan, you're not looking at adding a bunch of calories. And normally whenever I cook, it's a lot of stir fry, actually. If you really think about it, it's a lot of stir fry. I normally, if I cook a full meal, I'm making a double portion for me and my fiance. She's actually going along with some of this with me, so it's not just me doing it by myself. But it's a lot of stir fry. I like to sear the chicken, then throw the vegetables in and saute them with whatever seasoning I'm going to use. I'll season the chicken, and then I'll add more seasoning to the vegetables after I get them in the pan. And I just cover the pan with a lid and let the vegetables steam. I like mine to be cooked but still crunchy. I don't like broccoli or cauliflower if it's cooked to the point where it's soft. I prefer it to retain that crispness to it, that crunch, and it'll have the brighter colors as well at that point. But broccoli has a lot of nutrients in it, and it's not going to that first 2 weeks. You don't want to do this for more than a couple weeks or so, I've read. But at the end of that 2 weeks, if you do this, you'll be thoroughly surprised with what it does to your body, with what changes it's made to your body. Don't weigh yourself in that first week or anything like that. Just go through the 2 weeks, power through. Believe me, the second week is not nearly as bad. The second week, yeah, some of those cravings were still there, but by the end of the third or fourth week, like the cravings that I had, the constant hunger, some of you may be able to identify with this, but I always had this feeling of being constantly just ravenously hungry, just a constant hunger that was never really satisfied. I could eat a meal and still want more within an hour or so later. And the changes that this has made in me personally, now food has become almost an afterthought. I know that I need to eat. I just don't feel that huge amount of hunger, because supposedly, this is the explanation that I've gotten for it. It's that your body is getting what it needs, and you're breaking away from the addiction to processed sugars and things that are just all around in general unhealthy for you. As far as drinks, you can't just say, oh, I'm going to drink nothing but water. And it doesn't work like that. At least not for somebody in my type of situation, not with someone who's facing morbid obesity. If you're morbidly obese, chances are you got here because of extremely unhealthy practices and your addiction to food. So, that addiction to food, sodas. I don't drink sodas often at all. Maybe once every 2 to 3 weeks, I'll drink a soda. Don't want them anymore. I drink a soda and it doesn't taste anything like what it used to. It tastes like syrup. If I drink a soda now, it's basically just something that's full of ice and it's just a sweet flavor to add something to a meal once in a great while. This is nowhere near like an everyday multiple sodas type thing. You gotta get away from soda. Soda's extremely unhealthy. But the broccoli, chicken, and cauliflower, I would just eat that in some form or another, either raw, sautéed, steamed. I did this many different ways. I would take the chicken breast. Now I cook my chicken breast sous vide. I cooked it at 150 degrees for however long. I'll throw a couple half breasts into the sous vide tank early in the day, turn it on, forget about it, and then throughout the day, if I eat 1 to 2 meals like this, I'll pull out now what is half a chicken breast. Whereas before, when I started this, I wanted to eat like more than a whole chicken breast. I would eat a whole chicken breast and an entire plate of vegetables just to have that full feeling. And that's actually something that we'll talk about in another video, is that full feeling and eating until you're full. There's no reason to eat until you're full. And you won't want to after you get down this path, after you start relearning how to eat. So for that first 2 weeks, chicken, broccoli, cauliflower, seasoned and prepared however you want. Stir fries are what works best for me. I chop everything up into smaller pieces, and I sear my chicken that I've cooked sous vide for however many hours. I sear it and add some seasoning to the chicken, and then throw the vegetables in, steam those, saute those. Or just eat them raw or whatever. Or I'll cook things separate instead of cooking them all together. You don't always have to cook everything all together. You can cook them separately. You can steam your vegetables and season them differently from what you do your seared chicken. I like chicken, but I like it fried. I like it grilled. I like it seared. No more deep fried. Grease will tear your stomach up if you go through this for a couple weeks. Grease hurts, and you learn real quick to stay away from those things that hurt. You don't want to feel the intestinal discomfort that comes from eating greasy, fattening foods after going through this process for a couple weeks, after starting down this path, after learning to live. And that's exactly what it is. It is learning to live. You are relearning how to eat. You are relearning how to sustain your body. And that is what's most important about this. It's not just the weight loss. It's about becoming healthier overall. And after that 2 weeks, I had lost some of those cravings. I weighed myself. That first 2 weeks, I lost almost 20 pounds, and I was starting to feel better. But that first 2 weeks allowed me to see some progress. It allowed me to see that something was working for me. It allowed me to see that something was having a positive effect on my body. And after that 2 weeks, I started to add some stuff in here and there, just different vegetables and whatnot. Again, like I said, it's a lot of stir fries, but I love stir fry. And after that 2 weeks, you start to lose out on those cravings. You start to realize that you don't have to have a lot of the things that we eat and just don't even think about. I don't go to McDonald's anymore. It's not just the fact that damn near every fast food restaurant around here sucks as far as service and quality of food goes. It's just horrible for you. Fast food is absolutely horrible for you. And I just don't eat it anymore. There's been a couple times where I've stopped at something like Chick-fil-A or whatever, but I don't eat it anymore. I don't have that craving for it anymore. So anyway, that's an update. I didn't lose any weight this past week, but I've had other weeks where I didn't lose weight. I was stuck at 415 for 3 straight weeks. Then I dropped to 408 for 2 weeks. And then I went from 408 to 403. And this is the second Thursday that I've weighed in at 403. I'm hoping to power through and maintain throughout the next week. Because like I said, sometimes a cheat day turns into a cheat weekend, and it's not conducive to loss. You can't deprive yourself, because if you decide, I'm just going to cut out all of this, if you deprive yourself like that, that's a recipe for failure. Deprivation will sabotage everything that you're trying to do. You have to get to a point where you just don't want those unhealthy things anymore. And, I went out for dinner a couple times and tried to kind of maintain a reasonable amount of what I was eating. And that's something else that goes along with this. You're going to feel full a lot faster than what you previously would have. There's a difference between feeling full and feeling fulfilled. You don't want to feel full. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I've tried to keep this less than 15 minutes. I think I'm right around that mark. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you get notified whenever I post new content. I'm going to try and post a video update every week. All right, thanks for watching Learning to Live.